So this machine claims to cut through thick material in just one pass, like a 60-watt CO2 laser, yet engrave with fine detail. Engrave drinkware with its rotary, including those 40-ounce tumblers, and it helps small shops like mine to make products that actually sell. So I'm not going to test this like a tech review channel, I'm going to test this as a woodworker. So you've probably heard of WeCreat. They build lasers, and they sent me over this Vision Pro 45 along with this Fume Extractor to test and give my feedback. I'm not getting paid for this video, though they did send me this to try out. That being said, the opinions are going to be my own, and WeCreat's not telling me what to put in the video, so all the opinions when I test this are going to be all my own. So is this laser something that's going to fit into a woodworking shop? Can it make products better? And most importantly, can it help us make more profit? So I'm no stranger to lasers. Several years ago, I was building a lot of woodworking projects for craft fairs and selling them online, but I found out that everybody wanted stuff customized, and they wanted their name engraved on stuff, or they wanted a design or a logo, and I knew that if I was going to scale my business, I had to get a laser. So I did a bunch of research at the time, and I ended up buying this Thunder Laser Nova 51. And I gotta tell you, it's a beast. With the big laser comes a big price. It was really expensive. It took me a long time to pay it off, but I did get it paid off. And since then, it has been a game changer in my shop. I still do a ton of woodworking. I do my YouTube videos, but I gotta tell you, without my laser, I don't know where I would be today. I use it for so many things, for cutting, for engraving. I do acrylic, I do leather, I do hat patches, I do all kinds of stuff. I think of it like an employee that never calls in sick. I set up a job, I hit go, and while it's working, I'm doing other things. I'm cutting boards, I'm planing, I'm doing glue ups, and then when the laser's done, I go take out my project, I get another one started, and then I get back to work. And so it's constantly working in my shop while I'm doing other things. Now, the Thunder laser is great, but it's big. And I had to install it, I had to install vent systems, I had to learn the software, and there was a big learning curve. Also, this is a 100-watt laser, but most of the time, I'm never even coming close to using the full 100% power. I'm usually down in the 20 to 40% range. And for most woodworkers, this is going to be an overkill. Unless you have a large shop where you're doing a lot of production, this is going to be too big of a machine for you. So that's why I'm hoping the WeCreat Pro is going to be just the machine for hobbyists, people selling on Etsy or at craft fairs, because that's the size machine that you can still make a lot of money with, but you don't have to have that upfront investment, and you don't have to have the learning curve or the space of the shop to get that set up in. So now let's take a quick look at the WeCreat Pro 45-watt. I'm not going to bore you with the full unboxing, but I will say this. Everything was packaged really well and arrived nice and secure. Setup was simple, the instructions were easy to follow, and I had the whole thing set up and running in about a half hour. So now in comparison, the WeCreat Vision Pro 45 is designed to be a all-in-one, beginner-friendly, small business laser. It has a fully enclosed design. It auto-lifts, it auto-focuses, it has a built-in camera, it has air assist, and the software it comes with is pretty user-friendly. And if you're a Lightburn user, it works with Lightburn too, and the camera works in Lightburn. So you can use it with the new software it comes with, which is the WeCreat software, which I've been using it, and it's pretty user-friendly. But if you're a Lightburn user, no worries. You can use this with Lightburn too. It works flawlessly. And they also sent me a Fume Extractor to check out, and that's a huge game changer if you're working in a small area and you can't vent it outside, or if you're working at a craft fair and you want to do custom engraving live at a craft fair where you can't have fumes, this will eliminate all the fumes so you can use it anywhere. So now the big claim to fame to this laser is, even though it's a 45-watt laser, it cuts closer to a 60-watt CO2 laser. And the way they do that is with WeCreat's beam focus technology. It's designed to give cutting performance closer to a 60-watt machine while still keeping fine engraving details, closer to like a 20-watt laser. So I'll be testing that to see if that's true or not. So instead of just talking about boring specs, Let's make some real projects that you can build and sell, and let's see if this WeCreate can do it. It might be a good addition for a small workshop. So I've pre-stained half of this 3mm plywood, and you'll see why in just a minute. The bed space on this is really good size too, much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And there's an optional bed conveyor for processing large pieces up to 137 inches. So this project is going to have two layers. It's going to have a backing, which is going to be a darker color, and then the front is going to be a lighter color, both cut out and engraved. And I'm going to make 4 of these, and so I can go to this array creation and do 2x2 and make 4 of these, as you can see, and then I can center them right on my workpiece. And so I can do 4 right on the backing, and I'll do the same thing on the front and just highlight that, make an array, and do 4 on the front also. And once everything's lined up where you want it, you just hit autofocus, and once it's done autofocusing, you just hit start and then hit the button and go. These layered magnets are a great seller at craft fairs. I call them smalls. You know, people don't want to carry large things, but they'll buy these small things all the time. And they sell for good profit too. These will sell for $15 a piece, and they don't cost hardly anything to make. And you can make a bunch of these and make some good profit. Check out the fine detail that this laser did cutting this out. This is a magnet that I've cut before on my Thunder laser, which does a good job, but I gotta tell you, the fine little pieces here, this laser cut this without breaking these little tiny pieces, which is hard to do with a laser. So this laser beam is so thin and so accurate. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but this is such a fine detail that this cut, and it did such a good job. So we can cut and engrave all in one action. Putting these things together is pretty simple. I'm just using a little CA glue and activator. Then I add some black paint for Bigfoot. After that, I stick on a good quality magnet, and this thing will hold up just about anything you put on your fridge. What makes a plain cutting board twice as profitable? Customization can make a huge difference when you're selling cutting boards. And if you can offer that personalization live at a craft fair using the Fume Extractor right while the customer waits, that's a big selling point. With this software, it makes it easy to drop in a design, add a name, and engrave a custom piece right on the spot. You can also do it with Lightburn, since the camera works with Lightburn also. And don't forget, when the laser's working, you can go do other projects. So another popular item that sells like crazy are 3D layered art. It's made out of 3mm plywood. You just stain the different pieces, different colors, cut it out with the laser, and people go crazy over these at craft fairs. So let's see if the WeCreat laser can cut this out just as good as the Thunder laser did. So this project has 5 layers. I'm going to stain 4 of the 5 layers, leave 1 natural, and I'm going to do the base in black. While waiting for the stain to dry, I figured I'd test the cutting capability. I need a quick jig to help assemble the 3D art, so I grabbed a 3/4 inch piece of solid pine. I gotta tell you, the WeCreat Vision Pro 45 cut through it in one pass, which was honestly pretty impressive. Look at that. Perfect. Okay, so that laser cut this out very easily. Again, 3/4 inch plywood, A little bit of charring on the side, but it doesn't come off on your finger, which is kind of cool. So what I'm going to do with this is the insert I'm going to use as a press. So as I put these pieces in here, I can just press them and glue them in place. So these should fit right in here. This is my first time trying this. Oh yeah, that fits nicely. So now I can just glue and stack these in place. Next, I wanted to put the fume extractor to the test, so I cut through a 3/4 inch piece of Baltic birch plywood. Plywood has glue in it and it really stinks when you cut it with a laser. It did take 2 passes to cut through it and it created a good amount of smoke, but the fume extractor just tackled it and handled it really well. I couldn't smell anything at all, and it was only running on medium speed. I also tested the rotary attachment by engraving some drinkware, including these 40-ounce tumblers. It worked really well and I didn't have any issues. I've got a few local businesses that order drinkware with their logos on it, and jobs like this are a great way to help the laser pay for itself. I spent the rest of the day cutting and engraving all kinds of things: hat patches, leather flasks, Christmas ornaments, coasters, and more. These are all products that I've sold well before, so it was a good way to put the machine through a real test. And by the end of the day, I had a pretty nice pile of finished projects. All right, so after a full day of testing the WeCreat Vision Pro 45 watt, making real projects, here are my final thoughts. I'm going to give you pros and cons. Let's start with the cons. First of all, I wish it had a honeycomb bed instead of slats. It's not a really big deal, but I'm used to having honeycomb and all my hold downs are made for honeycomb beds. Wait, after I recorded this, I saw they do have a honeycomb panel for this, and it's on sale. My bad. The second con is the camera doesn't pick up dark objects very well because it has a dark belly pan. So I have to put a light board to see the contrast. Again, there's a workaround on that, but I wish the camera was just a little bit better at seeing dark objects. And the third con is the rotary attachment. I think it works fine. If you're doing a few cups, it's going to work great, but I wouldn't use it for doing production if you're doing just dozens and dozens of cups. That being said, I still think it's a pretty good value for what you're paying for it. The rotary on my Thunder laser costs just as much as this whole setup, so I can't complain too much because I think it's a pretty good value. And now for the pros. The first pro is the size. It's small enough to fit in a woodworking shop, yet big enough to do a lot of projects like cutting boards. The second pro is it's fully enclosed, which makes it cleaner, safer, and you can then use it with a fume extractor. And that leads me to the third pro, the fume extractor. I was so impressed with this fume extractor, and it opens up a huge possibility where you can use this at without the worry of all the fumes and smells that you would get from this laser. The fourth pro I wasn't able to try out. WeCreat makes an infrared laser head for this so you can engrave metal, which I can't do with my CO2 laser. So you can engrave knife blades or stainless steel flasks or all kinds of stuff, and boy, that opens up a whole new possibilities of things you can engrave. And the fifth and final pro, it's power. WeCreat was not kidding when it said its laser focused technology would step this up to cut like a 60-watt laser. It cuts 3/4 inch wood in one pass, no problem. Overall, I think the WeCreat Vision Pro 45 is a very capable laser and a pretty good value for what you get. If you're a woodworker, a creator, or any kind of maker that sells products, this would be a good laser to start out with. I'll leave a link below if you want to check this out, and I think WeCreat will give you a discount if you want to pick one up for yourself. And if you found value in this video at all, could I ask you a couple favors? Could you like the video? And if you're not subscribed, give it a subscribe. It's absolutely free and it really helps out my channel. I really appreciate it. And make sure to click on this video next. Yeah, this one right here. Yep, click right here.